Greetings, everybody. I'm going to talk about this woman on the screen, Tanya Stevens. And I chose this pic of her because it's very militant and it is very true to her character. She's very militant and very misunderstood and very underestimated. This woman is a true champion and a great artist that I want to lend my public support to. Now, when I look at Tanya, I think of survivor. I think of resilient because when she share her stories about being RAPED, it is so riveting. This is why I say to people, don't be too quick to judge others because sometimes when she's talking, and this woman is very intelligent, sometimes when she's talking, people get distracted by her cuss words. But until you know someone's story, you have no business judging them because a lot of time when she's speaking, she's so passionate and she's speaking truth. But remember, she's also very hurt and she's been very wounded by our own men, by our own society that failed her. And when she tell her story, it makes you really stop and think about the other females or males, but in this case, I'm focusing on Tanya, that the society, the system have failed. She has come out and share her story about being violated by, first of all, a dance hall artist and by three dirtbags. And to this day, haven't really had her day. Listen, tag this one and call it, justice for her. Justice for Tanya Stevens. Because she still haven't had justice. And people are saying over the years, name them, call them out. Even I have felt that way until I heard her story and realized in a society like Jamaica, how easy is it to come out and name the ones who violate you, who are often protected. In the case of her abusers, one was linked to a policeman. That was a policeman's son who brought his friends and destroyed a part of this woman that she can never get back. And the other was a dancer artist who she says is now a Christian and people are showing respect to. And the more she tells the story, the more you start to kind of figure out who this person is. And, people are saying, call him out, name him. But, it's not for her to name him at this point. He should be naming himself. Now he's a Christian. Because you're a Christian and you're hiding in the church, does that change the fact that you did this horrible thing to this young girl? And how many other persons did he violate? There's a part of me that hope that one day she will just say F it and just name him. But it's a process. It takes time. And she will do it if and when she feels like doing it, because that's still her power. Because we often want to take people's power away from them, want them to tell us what we want to hear when we want to hear it. And it's not about you. It's their ability to hold on to what they value as their truth and not to release their pain until it is time when they want to do it. But as a woman, when I heard her speak recently about being victimized when she was 17 and again at 19, it's heartbreaking. But I want you to know, Tanya, that you know what? You coming out and telling your story when it's convenient for you to tell it according to the way you choose to tell it, in the most powerful way that you have told it. I'm going to say, bless up yourself. I understand, not through experience, but knowing other persons who are also victims of rape. I don't even care. People don't want to say the word. I'm afraid to say these words because they're, sensitive words to use on this platform. But we have to talk about it. And we have to stop pressuring the victims, and we have to stop make the victims feeling ashamed, because they should not be ashamed of what some other loser have done to them. I personally want her to get justice. There should be no limitation on this kind of thing. I want her to get justice because she's still coping. She's still having PTSD or PTSD from that experience. So when she talk with the passion, people don't understand it. A lot of that is pain. She has had to figure a way how to cope with that pain in a society like Jamaica that endorses the behavior. When it comes to violence towards women, it is sanctioned. And as she said in one of her story recently, that a judge said that instead of going to the police officers to complain about this, tell him. I guess he's talking to his kids or something, because they know it's going to be brushed underneath some carpet. And if it's not brushed under the carpet, you as the victim will be further victimized. This horrible beast is walking around feeling free about claiming to be a Christian or whatever, and have not faced the penalty. And I am absolutely sure that there are many other girls who have experienced the same thing from these ones, who are still suffering in pain or still hurt. But I'm not going to pressure Tanya to name him for their sake. She has to do it when it's okay for her. I'm going to link her interview here. I saw it on another channel, and it's just heartbreaking. It's terrible. I'm not sure where they found that video, the person who did the video. I'm not sure if it was on her IG or wherever it was. If you know, share it with me, because I'm sure there was more to the story than this short clipping. And that's the thing. We see things in soundbite. And once we see it, even if it's traumatic while we're seeing it, once it's over, we move on with our life and we're like, okay, that's it. And so over the years, they've said things about her, disrespected her, talk about her appearance, not understanding the trauma that this woman has gone through and her strength to be able to, continue with her career and to come out here now and feeling more strength as time go on to share a little bit more and a little bit more. And maybe one day she might name those beasts. But, people know who that person is. You can figure it out. You might not be able to figure out who the policeman's son is and his acquaintances or his, accomplices, the criminals that they are. But the dancehall artists, yeah, trust me. Listen, dancehall artists, if you know that you did to this young lady what she said you did, and I know she's telling the truth, she has nothing to gain. Understand that, listen, you are not going to hide behind the church. You will come upon some vicious attack. We will know who you are. If she doesn't name you and you don't come out and tell the whole world who you are and what you did and face the penalty of your action, believe me, people love to say karma. Let's just use this for lack of a better word. Karma will face you, you wicked, evil person. You did this to this young girl and people stood outside and heard. That is the people in Jamaica. That's how they are. They allow for, they facilitate the violation of our women and our girls. It's like we don't matter. If you've been victimized by any of these onslaught that women are always talking about, and you are suffering in shame and in silence, I ask you to find someone who you can trust, because sometimes there's no one for you to trust. Because when you tell people your painful stories, they will use it back on you and they will share it with other persons who are also guilty of those same acts, who will not show any compassion towards you. Every time she shares her story, she's attacked by people who are also doing the same thing to other persons. Whenever you see people act so vicious and so aggressive towards someone telling their story, it's because they too are doing the same thing to other persons, and they get very agitated, very uncomfortable, very angry because they don't expect you to out them. They just expect to continue from one victim to the next. Listen, Jamaica is filled with wounded women and girls, some of which are promiscuous, some of them that are withdrawn and just so angry. Like I told you recently, don't be too quick to judge people, because a lot of time these bad behavior and these so-called aggressive aggressiveness that we see, we don't understand it, that there's so much more happening below the scene. The psychological impact that it has on somebody. And remember, these men are violating our women sometimes so viciously that when they're done with them, they're not just broken mentally or psychologically, but physically too. Some women are not able to go on and have children. That's how vicious the assault has been. But we condone and we endorse these kind of things, and we're not putting ourselves in the person's shoes. I would not want to have that experience. But I've come very close a few times in Jamaica. I shared a story about men following me from Patrick City out to the boulevard, and it was a grace that kept me. Now, to say grace, it's hard to hear for somebody who's been victimized, because they're going to say, what about me? Where was the grace for me? So I don't want to get into this whole spiritual thing in this video. I just want to say, big up yourself, Tanya Stevens. I love you. I respect you as a woman, and I respect your process, and I admire you as an artist. Just stay strong and give it to them and face them. Stay blessed.